Hello and welcome back to the LCHS Talks podcast. My name is Troy Beyer and we're here for a new school year, 2025-26. Here we go. I've got Andres Jimenez with me. We're going to have an amazing conversation, kind of introduce Andres to the LCHS community. He's our new administrator at the high school. So welcome, Andres. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love working at the high school. It wasn't ever my intention to start working at a high school or even in education. I actually went to UCSD for college. Yeah. So my initial career path was going to be going to be a doctor. So that's what I was studying initially.
All right, but you're just jumping straight into it.
Yeah,
we're going full throttle from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's just a little bit about myself. So.
Okay, so let's start with a few things. So what do you do now?
Okay.
And then let's kind of start let's Tarantino it. We'll start with what you're doing now, and then we'll go backwards.
Fantastic.
And we'll go backwards to kind of what started you at Literacy First, and then I'd love to hear what you're just talking about. Like, where did you go to school? Like, what kind of led you to Literacy First? So what are you doing here now? Okay. And what have you done here for the last, since you started?
Okay. This year is my first year as one of the vice principals up at the high school. So I'm excited to work with John Lutzy. He and I tag team stuff, and we've been divvying out the responsibilities and tasks. So we love working with students. We love, supporting teachers. And, going back from that, I've been working at LFCS for, this is my 9th year, so 8 years as an actual teacher. Okay. And so I've been teaching the sciences. And so I'm still currently the head of the science department. And so, that's what I've been doing there. And so I started off here teaching earth science and honors chemistry and AP physics. And I enjoyed that so much. AP Physics actually gave me a small break throughout the day to teach the kids that really want to get in on science. They really want to take it. They really want to do it. And they want to be hands-on. And so that part was fun because oftentimes, in science, you're just doing the base level thing. You're teaching them the vocab. You're trying to get them started so that you can get to the fun labs. But physics gave me the opportunity to do that. So I love that. And then the last 2 years, right before I became administrator, I was teaching our 9th graders. Okay. And kind of my personal goal in that was to help bolster our 9th grade program. So we get a lot of new students from the local area. Yep. So we do get a lot of LFCS kids, but we also get a lot of kids from the local area. And, they're at varying levels. And so I just love to incorporate them into our system and what we do, our character building program. That's a big component of it. Yep. And so when we have a solid 9th grade foundation and a 9th grade teachers who really buy into our mission, vision, and values, then we're able to really help these students jumpstart their career and their time at LFCS. Awesome. In the high school.
Which science were you teaching for 9th grade?
So 9th grade, it's called physical science. Okay. So it's kind of a hybrid of the first semester is physics and the second semester is chemistry. Got it. And it's kind of an introduction to both. And what I tell students is if you like one of them, jump into it later in your high school career, as an 11th grader. Got it. And so you get a flavor of a little bit of physics, a little bit of chem, and, the students will usually kind of gravitate towards one or the other. Okay. And so they'll like.
So what class were you teaching? And there's like a 5-second clip that has been of you teaching on our commercial, and it's been on a bunch of videos that we put out. So what were you teaching then? Was that physics or earth science? Or,
so that's the basis of all sciences is physics. And so the motion of particles is what I was trying to show them. And so the hardest thing to teach is something we can't see. Yeah. I cannot walk around this room and just see the particles flying around. I just can't. They're too small. And so having simulations and having things on the board, plus those awesome smart boards, we're able to manipulate things and show, visual representations of those things. And so that's what I was doing. I was showing gas laws. And so it was chemistry, but I was showing them from the starting point of physics. So, awesome. We were revisiting the idea of physics and how it pertains to chemistry.
Awesome. That was fun. Yeah. I was there behind the camera when we were recording. And
I remember when you came in, you have this guy on this huge screen or, camera, and then you go, just act normal. And I'm like, tell 9th graders to just act normal,
He had a backpack with an arm that went over. I was holding the camera. The camera was gigantic, and I'm standing next to him being like, just act normal. Pretend we're not here. And he was like, what?
I tried my best.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what brought you to Literacy First? What led you to how did you get here? Where did you come from?
Okay, so I'll just start kind of the college. So as I said, kind of in the intro, I was going to UCSD. I was studying, and my senior year of college, I was actually studying for my classes. Plus, I had an MCAT book I was studying, and so that's the medical school exam that you have to do to get accepted. And so, as I was sitting there one day, I just hear this almost audible voice. For me, it was God, and just telling me, hey, what are you doing? And my response was to like a human was, I'm studying right now. Stop bugging me. That was literally my response out loud. And so as the weeks went on, I just felt this prompting, think about your life, think about your goals, think about your purpose, which I come to find out now, that's what we do with our students at the high school, is we have them think about their goals, their future, and their life. Yeah. So I wish I would have had that. Yeah. I wish I would have had a school like Literacy First when I was going to college or applying, because I wouldn't have had to do 4 years and figure it out. Right. And so then I ended up doing 2 years of missions work in Sudan. So I just felt a prompting to go and do missions work. And when I came back, I just felt a big draw to education, to educate children and do that. So I went through Point Loma, did their education program, and I worked at a Christian school, local one, for 4 years. And there was a teacher here by the name of Brett Pepin, and he kept asking me, hey, why don't you apply to Literacy First? And I go, no, I got a good thing going. Yeah. I like the community I'm at. I like, teaching at the Christian school, and I love this. But he kept pulling me in. And then finally, just with, having kids and needing, to make money for the family, I had tried to move into a closer school, because I was all the way down in Rosecrans, and that was really far from East County. Right, okay. So then finally, he pulled me in and he said, well, why don't you try this? I said, I don't know. So I tried 1 year at a public school. And I will tell you right now, that's all I needed to understand the brokenness of the public school system. Oh, wow. Like really, truly from actually experiencing it, apathetic teachers, or only focusing on programs to make sure kids show up to school instead of focusing on their education. Yeah. Saying, oh, we're going to do this dance program because it actually gets kids to school. And I said, what about the academics? What about all that? Yeah. What about these NGSS standards that are coming up? And I just met with a wall of, no, that doesn't get kids here. That doesn't get them excited. Yeah. And so I finally saw the reality of, you work at a Christian school, and it's a great school, but, only certain people can afford that. Yeah. Not everyone can. And then you go in a public school that's broken, and, the kids, they'll show up, but not for what they need. Yeah. And then the fail rates are so high when they come out of that middle school that I was teaching at and then go to high school, and they fail out of high school because they're not prepared. Yeah. And so finally I applied to Literacy First, and my first year was 2017. And from then on, I went home the first week, and I told my wife, I said, I am so thankful for this school, because I would not be teaching. I would rather work 3 jobs than go back to a public school and teach there. Yeah. And that's just my personal opinion. I'm not speaking for Literacy First or anything, but just on a personal level, that is how I felt inside, is this school actually builds the character that I love to see. It really preps kids in the academics, and it offers it at an accessible place. You don't have to pay a bunch of money like you do at a private school. And so that's what got me here, and that's what got me teaching here.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about absenteeism at a lot of local schools or public schools, wherever you were at. I was just doing some research on our absentee rate, like our truancy rates, whatever it's called, our absent rates. And then I was also looking at some of the local districts and at the state. It is not uncommon that schools, even in this local area, have a chronic absenteeism or truancy rate of 20 or more percent. Oh my goodness, it was mind blowing to me, and I believe our stats. I may want to correct me on this a little bit. So you can check it at the state dashboard has all this information. I think ours was 6.6. Wow, it was below 10% of absenteeism on an average daily ratio. That's great. It's crazy. So knowing that stat. That almost makes sense that the academic program at some of these schools doesn't matter. Yeah. Because they're just trying to get students there. Yeah. The irony is, in what I've seen with myself and with, I think, most people, is that you go somewhere when people are excited about what they're doing. Yeah. Not about throwing, like if you're throwing parties for you or throwing
Yeah.
throwing tchotchkes or treats or whatever,
Yeah.
like I'm going to go, if I'm a high school student, I'm going to go to the class of the guy who loves teaching his topic because he makes that topic fun.
Yes.
Right? I'm not going to go to the class of the guy who's like, we're doing dance party today just to get you to come.
Yeah.
Like, forget science, but we're doing a dance party or we're doing this just to get people in the door. I'm going to go to the person, and most students will going to go to the person's class, the math, the English, the whatever, to the teachers that love their topic, because that is like contagious.
Yeah.
Enjoyment and the love for what you're teaching is contagious. Yes. That's when an academic program thrives, when you have teachers that love teaching and understand the value of that education to the kids' lives and their future. And if they can communicate that clearly to kids, then all of a sudden kids realize the value of the education they get. They realize that education is going to parlay them into higher success in the future. Like, it's just this snowball effect that goes one way or the other.
Yeah.
If you start chasing people and you start throwing meaningless treats at them to get them to do a thing, it's a snowball that's going to go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
People are going to see through it. Kids are not going to show up. I mean, if I'm talking about my own high school experience, I was on that side. Like, like, none of you guys, none of the people I went to school with, like, really cared about what they were teaching. And so, like, that, I got pretty apathetic because of that. I had 2 teachers at the public high school I went to who loved their topic. I loved going to their class, even though I was terrible. One of them is science. I was terrible in science. That teacher, I still remember his name. I'm not going to say it on a podcast, but I remember that guy from 25 years ago who loved science, and then photo. Yeah. That teacher loved photography. Yeah. And those 2 classes, and my auto shop class, because I loved auto shop.
Well, there you go.
But I mean, those were the teachers that loved their topic. Yeah. The other teachers, I don't even remember the name. I don't remember who they were. I do remember that they didn't really like their topic. Yeah. So anyway, that's my point. I'm just reinforcing, like, trying to trap kids into coming to school doesn't obviously work.
And I love that point, because at the high school, the one thing I will remember students saying, especially the freshmen, is, I didn't really like your subject, but I loved coming to your class.
There you go.
And that's my hope as a VP, is to encourage the ignite portion of our vision, 100%. Is if our teachers can ignite, like you said, then students will want to show up. Mm-hmm. And they may hate the subject the whole year.
Right.
And that is okay to an extent, as long as they're trying, as long as they're putting the effort in and they have grit.
Right.
And you're right. They will show up.
Yep.
And they build those relationships.
Yep.
And
or you start hating a subject, but then realize, no, I actually really like this
subject. You might like it.
Because the teacher was so excited to teach this to me and to share this knowledge with me that all of a sudden I start enjoying it.
Yes.
You don't learn to enjoy science by throwing a dance party.
No. Like, you do science.
That doesn't work. Like,
and you have an
dance
awesome
parties are
teacher.
Okay. We do dance parties in elementary school.
Yeah.
The kids love it. But, like, that's not the point.
No.
So. Okay, cool. Anyway, we're diverging.
Yeah.
So we talked about what drew you to literacy first. That was a good one. We're kind of already in this. What do you see as your purpose? So LFCS.
Part of my purpose, is taking a perspective from being a teacher here for 8 years, and taking that perspective of what does it look like to come in later in your teaching career, because I'd already been teaching, and just jump right in to all the things we do.
Right.
The quantum teaching and your character building. And the one thing I remember is my first year we had to go to graduation and sit during graduation, and I remember specifically thinking, wow, we don't have all these valedictorians and all these GPA numbers. And while that is important, I noticed that what we do is we award character awards.
Yep.
We reward things based on character,
yep,
not necessarily academics. And yes, there is the academic side, but that is what really the first year that hit me. And then I realized, okay, so this is what we're about. We're about character. Mm-hmm. The education will get there. If we have qualified teachers, if we have qualified staff, if we have staff that care, they will get there. They will get the students there. They will get you to those colleges you really want to go to.
Yep.
But the character is going to carry past that. Yep. It's going to carry past the 4-year university into the job force. And so my goal is to instill that and ignite that, not just in our students by greeting them every day, by being in front, by walking around and greeting students positively. Like that's what I want to do. Yep. I don't want them to be afraid. Yep. And being a teacher and moving into this role has given me that opportunity as well.
Yeah.
Mr. Lutzi is kind of the same. He was teaching and he became VP as well. And so they can see that connection. But then there's also a level of respect, which is great. And then also for teachers, just igniting that passion, holding to a standard, but also at the same time, them understanding why we have that standard.
Right.
And so I'm able to, because I just got out of, the actual classroom, I'm able to view it from that perspective and go, okay, we need to explain to the teachers on this Wednesday meeting, when we do our staff meeting, I have to explain this portion of it a little bit more because it might ignite them more when they understand the why. We always say, explain the why or say the why to your students, but I think sometimes as an administrator, you have to do that for the teachers as well. They want to know the why, and they may actually want to know the why more than your students.
Right.
Sometimes the students roll their eyes, they're like, oh, not again, but the teachers will want to, and they might ignite more in the classroom if they understand why we want you to take attendance, which seems, trivial to some teachers.
Why we have a dress code.
Yeah. Why we have a dress code or prescribed dress. Yeah.
Which is important.
Yes. Yes. So when we explain the why a little bit more and why we have these, things that we set up and these systems, then I think not only get more participation, but also just ignite a passion in teachers as well.
Absolutely.
So that's part of
my... To rewind a little bit to character. History is littered with men and women that did terrible things that were highly intelligent.
Yes.
GPA is not the only thing that matters.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Like character is what differentiates evil smart people and great smart people. And the world has been constantly molded and changed by the character of the individuals who lead it, right? So like character is kind of it. Like that's what matters. We don't need more bad smart people. Yeah. We need a lot more good smart people. And character matters so much. So.
Yeah. And I don't want the day to get away, and I don't want to like label this as like whatever specific day we're recording, but it is 9/11 today.
Oh, wow.
And having that mindset of I want these students to come out of my school and be the ones that when something terrible happens in life, they're the first ones to respond. They're the first ones to run in because they know that's the right thing to do.
Right.
That's my other hope is that the character carries to them that they're not the ones just sitting on the sidelines with their phone out, just recording a situation because that happens a lot. And I want them to be the ones running in and doing the work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What else is your role at Literacy First?
The other thing is just day to day. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do, that I'm learning and doing, but also what I have written here. I wrote down, consider the least of these. Yes. That's what I wrote down.
It's one of my favorite statements.
Yeah, there are, and I hear it all the time from Ms. Beyer, the least of these. And that's kind of, I'm sitting in IEP meetings and I'm the administrator that's, designated to do that at the high school because we've got to split our time because there's so many and it takes up a lot of time. Someone has to be out and patrolling the campus to make sure everything's safe. But, that thought, the more I'm in there, the more I realize we care so much from the ones that, may not have a mother, may not have a father, may not have anyone.
Yeah.
And we're there to care. I see teachers, put their arms around students in a loving way and these kids are cared for. And so my role, I feel like would be part of that is helping, the teachers see that. See the students as more than just, oh man, this kid, he has his phone out again, send him to the office again. Yeah. Instead of that constantly, let's try to figure out why this is happening. Yeah. Why do they feel a need to do this?
Right.
Why do they feel a need to not follow the rules? Like instead of just going, all right, this is the 15th time we're writing it on a piece of paper. Your parents are going to sign a contract. Like, is there something else going on? Yeah. So sometimes the least of these isn't the ones that, are downtrodden or whatever. It's sometimes they're missing some part of their life.
Yeah.
And we're not replacing that, but we can provide some help in those areas. Exactly. So I'm hoping that as I see those small areas, I don't see them all right now. I'm still going to keep learning. Yeah. Lifelong learning is part of it. So I'm just going to keep learning about our students, knowing our students, knowing where they are, and not only provide more information for the teachers, but for myself, so I know how to interact with them.
That's awesome.
How to say hi to them, ask them about their day. Maybe one of them told me that they took a trip over the weekend. When you ask a student, especially at a high school, you say, hey, how was your trip to so-and-so? Like, they will remember that you remembered.
Whoa, you remembered? Yeah.
Yeah. Because they think that they just walk right by you and you don't pay attention.
Yeah.
For various reasons.
Right. What about parents?
Yeah.
So the same aspect, right?
Yeah.
Like we are a school that exists because parents have chosen,
Yeah.
right? Like that's why we exist.
Yeah.
We provide call it a product
Yep.
that parents have chosen because they see what's going on over here and they've chosen they want, it's here. So like in that same aspect of supporting students, the least of these, like how does that impact the way that you interact with parents and, helping them, whatever, what does that mean?
Yeah. And as a parent of students that are here, I mean, both of my younger ones are at the LA. I want to support parents as best I can, not only with whatever the family is deciding between the parent and the student on career and focus and stuff like that,
Right.
but also providing some feedback from our perspective as to what's going on. Because the reality is sometimes some students will come to school and they will act a specific way. And I can encourage parents by having conversations with them, by informing them of what's going on, and trying to keep it positive and trying to find a solution as opposed to just blaming parents or blaming students and things like that. The other thing is, communication. Communication's a big one.
Huge.
Communicating with parents as much as we can.
Yeah.
Just recently we had the back to school night and we were asking for volunteers. And so we got a huge response just by putting that on the questionnaire.
Heck yeah.
And so we connect with parents and, parent presence. We don't shy away from that either. Having it at the Olympics, and having parents help us out. That's a huge help,
Absolutely.
Christmas rotations. We have parents come all the time and they volunteer. Setting up things like the Blackout Cancer event for volleyball. We have so many parent things. And so trying to keep that going, trying to keep the parent involvement. Because when your student sees that you care about the school, and this happens a lot more. I just noticed this with my own children that volunteering happens a lot more, it seems, in the elementary, but having that at the high school, like they're still kids. They still want to see that their parents are serving there, that they're there, that they care about the school. They might care more. And the hope is that they do. And that that it's kind of like a small family, where we're all participating, we're all helping each other. And so I would just encourage parents to be involved as much as you can. When we get towards the end of the year, students get to choose what classes they're going to be in. Have that conversation with them. Don't just look at the paper and toss it to your student to do it. Have a conversation. What do you want to do in life?
Right.
And that's the other part of it, is trying to encourage parents to speak more with their kids, because I think we get to 11th, 12th grade and parents are kind of like, well, they're almost adults. They're almost this. They still want you involved in their life.
Absolutely.
Even on those days where they're just giving you one-word answers, they still want you to ask those questions, because the day is going to come when they're having a bad day, they have no one to turn to, and you're the one there, because as a parent, you're spending the most time with them.
Right.
You're really the primary educator.
Right. It was funny. A very wise friend of mine, his kids, I think one of them might be a senior, one of them's graduated, the other one's still in high school. And he told me 2 years ago, year and a half ago or something like that he realized recently that his kids need him involved more now than maybe even when they were young. And that's not to say that parents don't need to be involved when they're young. Like that's kind of a given. Like we all accept that. That's kind of like a given, right? But his point was he realized that his kids were all becoming adults. His boys were becoming men, and they're starting to make adult man decisions in their life, having to do with careers and stuff. And he realized that either he just hands off the wheel and lets them just figure out these pretty substantial decisions on their own, or he is available and present to help guide his kids through that. Now, he has the what we call it, the permission, like they desire his input because he's been there the whole time. It's hard to just come out of nowhere and be that guy, right? But like being involved all the way through your kid's life and then backing off once they hit 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 maybe, like 20, like our role as parents is going to change and shift. But the realization that my friend had was, I need to be available now, not as like dad that's like got my thumb on you and I'm telling you what to do, but now I get to be here and like help you process life when you come and ask. And like he's set the stage that that's okay. So like as we are raising our kids, as I'm raising my daughter, as you're raising your kids, like we have to set a foundation so that when our kids get to be older, it isn't just hands off the wheel. Like then our kids are coming to us asking for advice, but we're available for them, right? So like, don't walk away when the kids get older, when the decisions start to have even more like impact. Like the decisions 15, 16, 17, as you get older, and we all know this, as we get older, our decisions have more of a like substantial impact on our lives. Like decisions I make now impact my life, my wife's life, my kid's life, my extended family's life, this organization's, like, you know, so like our decisions become weightier as our kids' decisions become weightier. Wouldn't it be wise for us to have built the foundation that they come back and ask us for advice, right?
So true. I mean, and you just nailed it. Like he realized it later, you know, when his kids were older.
Right.
You know, like it's not too late. That would be my advice. Right. My hope to you as parents, like if you're listening, is it's not too late. If your student is 15 right now and you were not as involved and you were that parent that thought, oh, hands off is better, start now. It might be hard, but just start.
It's still there. Yeah. Absolutely. Have you ever had a parent, this is kind of rhetorical. Yeah. Have you ever had a parent come into your office and want to share knowledge and information that they know about their kid and have that be information that wasn't valuable?
No.
Not
at all.
So I guess my point is like we as a school, you as an administrator, and tell me if I'm wrong.
No.
You would love it if parents who knew like a backstory and know their kid came in and shared with you like, hey, this is what my kid's gone through. And this is how, this is how I help my student or my kid. And like, that's always valuable to us because we're a team with parents.
Correct.
Right. Cool.
And from K to 12, every student is known.
Absolutely.
I mean, we want to know more about your student. Like, let us know what's going on.
Okay. What do you think? What are some other things about Liberty Charter High School, Literacy First Charter School that you think parents should know?
And thing I wrote down here is we do offer sports. Oftentimes we get parents and they go, what sports do you offer? And I don't know why we have to keep saying it, but we're going to say it again. Okay. So we've had students do sports. They've gone to Division I. Mr. Danny Sanchez, he's now the athletic director, and he's super excited to get to know you if you're, a super sports-minded person. And so, yes, we do offer sports.
A lot of sports.
And part of the reason I plug this in is related to students. Is, a couple years ago, we had a student that was really interested in wrestling. We had no wrestling team.
Yeah.
And he came to us, and this is the coolest part about students feeling comfortable at our school, is he came to an administrator and says, hey, I noticed that we don't have wrestling. Can we start a wrestling program? A student being able to say that is amazing,
right?
Instead of a coach coming in and going, I think I want to start a wrestling team. How do I get, students? No, it was a student-led thing.
And now is this third year?
And this is the third year. Yeah. And
they've won some stuff.
Yes. And not just girls or boys, but girls too. And so we've got wrestling for both. And so it's amazing that at our school, if you have an idea, if you have a concept, you present it, even as a student, you present it.
Cool.
We can try to make it happen. So that would be a thing that I would tell families is if you have an idea, if you have something, bring it to us, shoot it to us. Like tell us an idea or something that can make the school better, or a sport we can try to offer, or, not just with sports, but, educational programs. This year after school, Mr. Lutzi got a piano group started.
You're right.
Yeah. So we got a music program going.
Donated a full-on baby grand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that before, but now we have students that want to do music or at least want to learn, and so they stay after school on Fridays, and then they're
like
starting
14 students.
Yes,
we have like 14 keyboards and a baby grand, and it's so cool.
Yeah, and I just learned the other day that the music teacher doesn't just offer piano. There's other instruments he can help with. If kids want to play drums, if kids want to play guitar, like
heck yeah,
he can do that too. So just present to us things. Partner with us as families. Partner with us as students. If you're a student listening, partner with us and make the school better, what you want it to be, and leave a legacy as well.
Yeah.
That student that started that wrestling program, he left a legacy. Everyone knows that he's the one that started the wrestling program.
That's rad.
And anytime they see him, there's students that thank him.
That's cool.
And that's just so cool to have.
How would a student start a club?
So
Speaking of, yeah.
they come to the office and there is a form to fill out, and they fill out a club form. There has to be a purpose because we do things with purpose here. And so they fill that out and they turn that in, and Miss Beyer reviews all of them, and make sure that they're all legit. But also part of it is, I noticed on there, I've been reading on some of the applications this year, is there is a portion to write down how you're going to help the community.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big component too,
Awesome.
is something that I would tell families is, how are you involved in your community, whatever community it is?
Yeah.
Is it a family community? Is it a church community? Is it just your neighborhood community? Is it a sports community? Like you have a really good family of sports. So make sure you have that conversation. And if you're a student, filling out this document, make sure you have a good reason how you're going to help the community or teach the community, whatever you're doing.
Awesome.
In your club.
What else should we know about Andres Jimenez? And what else do you want to share? Open mic.
I love science. I think it's one of the greatest subjects that can be taught. But I really am excited about this year.
Awesome. I
want to ignite a passion in both students and teachers. I really want our school to be known for the same things it's known for. We're kind of in a year where charter schools, public schools, everyone's kind of in a transition, looking at numbers, looking at absenteeism, looking at state scores and all these things. And I want our school to keep standing out. That not only just for the academic side, but for, we are known that we partner with parents. We are known that your student is known. We're known for the least of these. Yeah. We're known for all these things. And when they hear the name Liberty Charter High School, they know what it's about. It's about character. It's about your kid is known, at the high school. And it's about partnering with parents and not trying to block them out of the education system. Yeah. There's plenty of that. And we don't want that. Yeah. We want to partner with you.
Which is a terrifying trend in the state of California.
Yeah. It's a terrible trend. Yeah. And we don't want to be that school. We want you to feel comfortable enough to come and visit with us and give us your ideas and give us some background on your student.
Yeah. We've had this conversation on this podcast so many times.
Oh, yeah.
But like the value of parents on our campus is there's so many variables in there. There's so much research and studies that show how it impacts students and teachers. I mean, it's just good. Be here, hang out if you can. And many parents work and you can maybe only be here once a month or whatever. Great.
And come talk to us because, you may get a different perspective than your student tells you. Students students have a different lens. Yeah. Not that they're, trying to lie to you or something, but they might have a different lens than what, an adult might have at the high school. Different perspective.
One of our jobs as the adults at the school is to help our students and help the people around us achieve higher than they think they can, right? Yeah. I heard a statement years ago and I held on to it. It's like a friend is not the person who accepts you for who you are. A friend is a person that holds you to a higher standard than you hold yourself and is pulling you up. That's a friend. Friend isn't just be like, you're fine wallowing in the mud. No. The friend is the person that picks you up and says, no, you could do better. Let's do better. Let's do better. That's a friend, right? And so I think it's the same for our teachers. And but also when you're pushing someone beyond where they want to go, sometimes they're a little frustrated. So.
Yeah. And if I could just leave it with one thing, I don't know if it'll be cut out or not, but Colossians 3:23 tells us that we're supposed to work at everything as if working unto the Lord, not for human masters or humans. And so my encouragement is that when you work at something as if you're working for someone else. Not just for yourself necessarily. You're doing it for a legacy, for a future generation, for your parents. You're trying to, respect their name. You're trying to bring honor to your family, something, beyond yourself. Miss Beyer started this school not just for herself. She started it for others. Yep. And so that's what I hope the legacy is that we work at school, we work at parenting, we work at all these things as if working for someone else and benefiting someone else beyond ourselves. Yep. We have a servant mindset.
Yep. We strive for excellence because we serve.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Is that it? Everything else?
I think that's it.
Andres, thank you so much. Yeah. This is a fantastic podcast. Yeah. And as always, if you have questions, reach out to the school office. They, ask for Andres, Mr. Lutzi, talk to our admin. Yeah. And it's the same at all of our campuses. So thank you so much. I think that's it.
Well, thank you. I had fun.
Yeah. LFCS out.